All right, we begin with the border crisis. Shocking video shows a group of more than 100 migrants rushing our border in El Paso, Texas.
That's right. They broke through the razor wire and overpowered members of the Texas National Guard.
Griff Jenkins, you've seen a lot at the border. Have you seen anything like that before?
Well, not quite to those levels. And good morning, guys. And let's note, President Biden was on the ground in Texas for the past 2 days at fundraisers in Dallas, in Houston, while the crisis at the border reached a boiling point in El Paso. Let's show that video again. Now, what you've got and what's worth noting is that it's hundreds of single adult males. Venezuela is the second busiest demographic coming through the El Paso sector right now, and they are shoving the National Guard troops illegally entering the country there. At least one migrant, we're told, has been charged with assault. We expect more arrests to come. Now, Texas Governor Abbott took to X and said this: the Texas National Guard and Department of Public Safety quickly regained control and are redoubling razor wire barriers. DPS is instructed to arrest every illegal immigrant involved for criminal trespass and destruction of property. But guys, those consequences are a little unclear right now while Texas awaits a court ruling over whether they can indeed enforce the state's new border law. Meanwhile, National Border Patrol Council President Brendan Judd was on with you guys last hour reacting.
I have conducted numerous interviews with people that have crossed our borders illegally when I've detained them, and they have flat out told me that they know that nothing is going to happen to me. They've told me that they know that they're going to get released, that they know that the laws don't apply to them. This can be attested to by hundreds of Border Patrol agents that will tell you the exact same story, that these individuals do not fear our laws.
And let's get the full picture. Meanwhile, out west in Jacumba, where we have reported from, myself and Bill Malusian, we've seen hundreds of even Chinese men just walk in. In the last 24 hours, El Paso was the third busiest sector, while San Diego sector, where this is, was the single busiest sector. Finally, President Biden is here today. We have not had a statement or heard about the situation in El Paso. No comments so far, and no talk of an executive action that may or may not be forthcoming. We've just heard from the administration. They continue to push that Senate border bill. Guys?
Yeah, and Griff, since you've been down there and you've looked at this video a couple of times, what happens is the migrants break through, largely single men, although we'd heard for a while, it's all families, largely single men, many in hoodies. They rush those guys. They knock over the National Guard, rather the Texas Guard, and then they get to the U.S.-installed border wall. That concertina wire that they bust through, essentially that is Texas trying to stop them. So they got through because they know that the National Border Patrol people have got to let them in.
Well, that's right. And what is significant as we look at that, as you're pointing out, Steve, if indeed Texas's border law, SB 4, were to be ruled constitutional or upheld, we're waiting on an appeals court, then at this point right now, Texas National Guard and DPS could effectively take them into arrest and not have to turn them over to Border Patrol. But that's not the situation right now.
I wonder how they would do that, though. Look, there are like a few Border Patrol agents down there, and there are 100 men. How would they be able to, how would they actually do it?
Well, they would have to surge resources and have more DPS and National Guard react to that area, Ainsley. And it's a great point, Ainsley, because what happens all along the border is you have these hotspots pop up. Obviously, we've seen similar things in Eagle Pass, Texas. We've seen it out in California, and we've seen it in places like Louisville, Arizona. And that is because the cartels across the entire 2,000-mile border are taking advantage of our vulnerabilities and moving to areas where there are less resources, less Border Patrol, less Texas DPS. That's why you've seen the surge move all the way out west, because California and Arizona don't have razor wire or DPS officers and National Guard trying to stop them.
Are you telling me that everybody got in there? That gate eventually opened and they all got in?
Except the arrested guys.
All of those people have illegally entered the U.S. And I mean, I couldn't speak specifically to the report, but yes, effectively, Brian, they would have been turned over to the Border Patrol and processed. Now, obviously, there is going to be some forthcoming arrests, we're told from our sources with Texas DPS, because of the actual assault. At least one person has been arrested. But as far as the actual illegal entry, that is happening before your eyes there.
Thanks so much, Griff.
So you can run over the National Guard,
Yeah.
and you could eventually get in.
Can I just say,
Welcome to the United States.
Can I just
newcomers.
say that this was their first act to come to the country and to assault the Texas National Guard as well as DPS, and Texas is being blamed for not being compassionate. The first thing they do to get in the country is to commit assault against law enforcement and against our Texas National Guard.
Lawrence, it's actually the second thing.
Yeah.
Because they've already broken
Come across
into
the
the
border.
United States.
Well-
So this is the second thing.
Well, that's
cow.
why the other networks they don't want the Democrats to see this video. They don't want Republicans to see this video. You said, Brian, you did see it eventually on CNN.
I watched it.
CBS only had 36 seconds of it, but NBC, ABC, and MSNBC, as of the start of our show, had not put it on.
But the President of the United States has been in Texas for 2 days,
Yeah.
and there's been no statement from the White House. Meanwhile, he's campaigning and fundraising in the state of Texas, and you don't say anything about the number
Don't
one
forget
issue.
he was in Arizona, too.
Yeah.
And also, he was there to make sarcastic remarks about the former president.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.